Yo, what's going on? I hope you don't mind I'm eating at the moment, but I feel like recording something anyways. Um, I wanted to discuss something pretty important, I think. Last night I made a video about how people undermine the importance of their intelligence. You know what happened? In my sleep, I got a download, as psychic mediums like to describe. And this download was something different. It was pretty much the blueprint for the entire Californication, Hollywood, you know, fake moon landing, so on and so forth, conspiracy. I pretty much know the ins and outs. And so today I wanted to talk about something important that I think people need to know about. And that is how to view a delusion the proper way and then break free away from it. Because sometimes information is addictive, and it's good to know some things. I remember when I was um, a young adult. I'm 30 now, man. I'm getting old. But when I was 20, around there, 19, 18, 20, I had an addiction. It was short lived because I was like, it gave me anxiety. I had an addiction to learning more about medical, um, I guess, ideas or just generally sort of feeding my fascination of the medical scene. I watched a lot of House. It gave me a lot of anxiety. I was going through a time. And it was bad, so I stopped. I just stopped watching House or just medical stuff in general. I stopped feeding my mind too much health information. Hmm. And I've always been a big science lover. Always. Since I was a kid. Usually around astronomy. Yeah, astronomy. I loved looking at planets and stars, black holes, that sorts of things. And throughout my life so far, I've gone pretty deep into the rabbit hole of science, physics, astrophysics, quantum physics. I have a pretty good understanding of it, at least better than most people. And it's a lot of information. If you're ever considering getting into physics and stuff, it takes a big mind to wrap around the loops that physics likes to go around. But it's fun if you're into that kind of thing. there are plenty of disputes in the scientific community, some revolving around religion, some revolving around faulty science, or just wildly different interpretations. One of them being flat Earth. People try. I haven't really done too much research to understand flat Earth from a scientific point of view. But as I understand it, from a layman, you would say, is people try to come up with their own ideas and then find evidence for why it fits into the flat earth theory. It's like they're trying to discover a new ground of science, but as evidence may suggest, or the math, or whatever you feel like talking about, it's wrong. And then and it's interesting to believe in something like flat earth. It's not the most harmful conspiracy ever, but at the same time, it's kind of something that most people can't prove right now in terms of, physical experience. It's just too big to just say, okay, I'm going to go see if the earth is flat or not. It's a little more complicated than that. But, and same thing with like the fake moon landing and shit. First of all, what difference does it actually make? That's what I've always wondered about people who like to believe in these wild theories. Is what difference does it really make in life? Like, I mean, unless you are somebody like Elon Musk, for example, who owns a $1 billion company and builds rockets to go into space and send satellites into orbit and then retrieve the rockets. What business is it even of yours to decide whether the earth is flat or not? You know what I mean? Like, you're probably just working at McDonald's or some shit, making food for other people. And in your spare time, trying to figure out if the earth is flat. You know, that being said, information is addictive. And even if you may know something is wrong, a person may go to the very ends of the earth to prove that it is wrong. Or to convince themselves and others that it is. But it doesn't mean that it is. I think this is true for many conspiracy theories. In a way, you could view them as just games to keep you distracted from being bored. Some of them can be harmful. There's a few cults that have been destructive to society. At least that's the way the media portrays it. And there are still cults that exist today. I'm not sure. I really don't know too much about it. But if I'm not mistaken, Scientology is connected with things like Californication. I could be wrong. I mean, they're at least in the same nook. But I'm gonna tell you about my dream that I had first. What happened was me and a girl were getting a tour into some. It was kind of like a hospital, but it was like a school, and it was like a facility, and it was like there's kids there and there's adults there. It was a lot. It was a big facility, and we were getting a tour with line of a short line of people. And what happened was, first of all, many of the people I saw were trying not to cry, I guess. Like there was tears coming out of their eyes, kind of like in I had a dream. It's similar to Get Out, but I was going through this tour, and I started taking pictures, like in the movie too, flashing everybody with the phone camera. And we got deeper and deeper into the facility, still on a tour. And I asked my partner, this girl that I was with, I don't really know who it was, but I asked her, I whispered in her ear, "Do you know where we are?" Because it seemed like we were getting lost. I couldn't remember, but I took pictures of where I went, so that was helpful. And yeah, woke up. But the thing is, I never bought into those theories, especially the the bigger ones, like the moon landing and the flat Earth and the Californication, etc. Whatever, blah blah blah. Hollywood, you know what it is. If you know, you know, I guess. But I just never really cared about them, and it's almost comical that I would have this kind of a download in my dream. Because I never bought into it. All I cared about was science because it was something fun to think about. It's addictive, and even then, you know, you don't want to feed too much into it, I guess. But for those of you that do really believe in these conspiracy theories, I'm gonna tell you that you don't have to. You don't have to believe in any sort of system or structure that you disagree with. Because that's all it is at the end of the day. When you go outside, you look at the sky, you look at the trees, you look at whatever you're doing, wherever you're at, nothing's happening. Not really. Not in the terms of on the degree of conspiracy. It's all in your head. It's whatever you choose to believe. And then what happens from there is typically you will be fed the theory before you're fed the evidence for the theory. So, for example, one of your first experiences, I'm willing to bet, on the internet at some point, very early on, is learning about these conspiracy theories. You learn that they exist. And then what happens from there is, if you decide to buy into it, you begin looking for evidence of why it's true. And then some of the theorists out there really go kind of nuts. They go nutty trying to prove these things right. But what difference does it make? What difference does it really make if I believe in it or not? I saw a video of Johnny Depp saying how he's tired of Hollywood because people are forced to fall in line and they can't be themselves. I think a really good place to start is to start dissolving all of these unhelpful complexes that you've built up in your mind. Because that's part of the matrix. That is a part of what keeps you trapped, is the belief in whatever somebody else. You don't even know the fucking person. When it comes to things like the internet, you don't even know the fucking person who fed you the information, and you're so willing to believe it. And that's all it is a belief. That's what the flat earthers are like doing to prove in the opposite direction. Oh, the earth is round? It's just a belief that you have, that you were told and fed for the rest of your life. The earth is really flat. But nobody dares to spin it the other way. To break down all the conspiracies and say, no, this is fucking bullshit. Even if people think it's true. It's fucking bullshit. And a lot of the times, you know what it is just a mental game to keep you busy and distracted from whatever your bigger mission is in life. You have to let it go and move on. Change. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist for the rest of your fucking life. You can be whatever you want. And whenever you let go of the idea that you have to be a certain way, is when you begin to be who you want to be. Especially without relying on outsourced validation to approve of whoever you're being. So, if you're looking to break free from the delusion, break free from the conspiracy, break free from the theory that's kept you trapped, if you're wanting to break free from the matrix, if you want to break free from the constraints in your mind that hold you back from being a more authentic self than you really are. And that's the thing too. I don't really think people understand how authentic they are already being. You're being your most authentic self right now. What the problem is you know there's a reality out there where you can be even more authentic. And that's what haunts you. And what you need to do from there is to let go of the mental constraints that hold you back from being more authentic. But you shouldn't you shouldn't self-attack yourself for failing to be more authentic. It hurts and it sucks and it feels like you're trapped when you fail to meet up to your expectations. But that's where the letting go happens. You have to let go of the belief that you can't be authentic. Sometimes it's harder said than done. And believe me, it was hard saying it. But it can be done. And that's another belief system that you have to let go of, is believing that some of these things just can't be done. It's a really big one, actually. The moment you start believing that something can be done, especially something that's in your control and power. It's one thing when you want to say, no, there's no way Elon Musk is going to send us to the Mars or whatever. Like, that's completely out of this world. It's out of your control. It's out of your, awareness. There's nothing you can do about it. It's Elon Musk. It's not you. But you need to believe in yourself, at least. And so with that, I'm going to describe to you how to view a delusion. I'm going to show you how to break it down and overcome it. First, you have to understand a delusion isn't just planting a seed or a theory, a conspiracy, whatever you want. It isn't just a seed being planted in your mind. That's a very ambiguous way of viewing it because you don't know what to do about it. I think, at least in my opinion, a better way to view a delusion is a little pebble. A little bitty pebble. This is a piece of corn. Just a little pebble. I mean, that's what a seed is anyways. But instead of thinking about it as growing, at least in terms of plant life, you could think about it as a body in space, a planet. How is a planet born? Well, it has to start somewhere. Typically a pebble, or at least a gathering of matter. And so you start with a pebble, you start with the idea. Typically you're fed the idea of this, hey, this conspiracy theory exists, the moon landing was fake. And it goes from there. It's just this little pebble of information that you find. And then if you choose to believe in it, you start looking for the evidence to back it up. And so those pebbles accumulate. Pebble here. What about the astronauts? Film footage was faked. Blah, 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 blah. The pebbles accumulate, especially over time. And this is a big part of it, is time. The longer you take with this sort of thing, the more it solidifies. And it's another reason why it's hard to escape. But, so you start with a pebble, and you get more, and it accumulates, and they slowly start becoming a piece of matter. And the longer you take with it, the more obsessed you become, the more evidence you look for, the more this mass grows in size, in density, until it has its own substantial gravity that it holds together, and then it gets bigger and bigger, and it draws in outsourced information, it draws in outside evidence. It starts making up all these, connecting the dots, making up delusions this way, that way. And before you know it, you find yourself lost in a maze that doesn't even make fucking sense because you believe this one little lie. If maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't fucking know if the moon landing was fake. But does it really fucking matter? You have to keep coming back to this grounded place in yourself of, does it really fucking matter that fucking much to believe in some random fucking fact like the moon landing was faked, just as an example? Because there's plenty of conspiracies that you believe in. Some of them may be more important than others, but at the end of the day, what difference does it fucking make? Does it really fucking matter? If you had to choose between drinking a cup of water and drinking a cup of conspiracy, which one are you gonna choose? Are you gonna have a cup of water, or are you gonna have a cup of conspiracy? Is it that fucking important to you to keep feeding the delusion? But people do. And so the mass accumulates, and before you know it, you're standing on a planet of lies that you've built up around yourself. And it could be for different reasons. Sometimes it's to escape. Sometimes it's to run away from a reality that you're not equipped to handle. Sometimes it's just for fun. And that's a sad reality of it too, is I guess curiosity killed the cat. Not with violence, but with gravitational force. It kept the cat forever stationary on this belief system that was completely built on lies. And by the way, this goes for more than just the simple, very mainstream delusions and conspiracies. This is good. This goes for every single delusion that has ever built up in your life about anybody and everything. Because the mind does this. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're going to be looking for evidence to back up the things that you experience and that you learn about, especially the ones that you care about. So the delusion builds up, and you're standing on a planet of lies and false beliefs, things that people fed you when you were gullible and ignorant and naive. And sometimes it like connects with other delusions. So you've got delusion on top of delusion, and it's very complicated. And you have to go one by one. But this is the fun part. Because who says that you have to be a certain size in your mind, in your head, in your imagination? I know you all have one. I know some people apparently can't see for some reason, or they can't think. I don't know what that's about. I really don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I can think in my head, and I can imagine in my head. I can see colors. I dream colors. I do all these things. I don't know why regular people are not able to do this, some of them. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Do what you can and work with what you got, and realize that even though right now you may be standing on a planet of lies and bullshit and delusion and conspiracy and nothingness, trash, garbage, heaps of fucking bullshit, in your mind, visualize yourself not as a puny little human standing on a planet of garbage, but as a god, a literal fucking cosmic god on scales unimaginable to a regular human. And these planets of lies suddenly break down into little pebbles again. Because what you're doing is you're valuing yourself more than the weight of these delusions and theories and shit. Suddenly you become the center of attention. You become the center mass. You become the thing that all of these things gravitate towards. And that's where you take control again. You could smash these fucking delusions right out the fucking window and say, you believe in that? Good for fucking you, but I don't. Because I'm me. And this isn't to be confused with being a real god or any sort of egotistic, I don't know, like a false ego. It's just using your imagination. It's really not that hard if you let yourself do it, especially if you're into things such as space and time and all those other things like cosmic, whatever, which I'm assuming most people are these days because it's everywhere anyway. But basically, just imagine that the planet of bullshit you're standing on is suddenly this tiny speck, just like everything else in space. Just these tiny little specks. And flick it out the fucking window. Get rid of it. Burn it. Tear it apart if you want. Do whatever the fuck you want with it and then get rid of it because it's not that important. It's not that big of a fucking deal. It's not something so big that needs to have any more validation or attention that's been given to it already, more than has already been given to it. And so I drew something. I figure this will be my next album cover or, YouTube music cover. I drew this. It says, "Let the demons starve." I'll let you look at it a little longer. It's pretty cool, huh? It seems, I don't know, this part seems a little incomplete for some reason, but I'll just leave it as it is anyways. What it means by letting the demons starve is to stop paying mind to the bullshit. Stop giving it attention. Stop giving the theories validation. Stop giving a fuck. Stop sitting there like your brain dead, contemplating the bullshit for minutes, hours, days. Stop feeding into it and move on with your life. If you look around, there's more important things around than believing in a particular human construct. These things really aren't that big of a deal. But people like to blow them out of proportion. There's a thing, too, that some people like to participate in, is this whole woke versus NPC battle, where NPCs like to stay the same and, they are, that you would say they participate in the system, versus being woke, I suppose, is about being outside of it. This is just one more conspiracy theory to break down. Because at the end of the day, only some people hold the same knowledge as you anyway. How realistic is it to believe that every single human on Earth has the exact same knowledge as you when we don't even have the same interests? So it's unrealistic when you think of perspective in this manner to expect some people to be just as woke as you. The reality is everybody's dealing with their own fucking bullshit. Everybody has their own delusions. It's just whether or not you relate to them or not. Every single human alive has a delusion. I don't think there's a person alive who doesn't. But this is what it takes to break them. You have to be bigger than it. And stop feeding into it. Move on with your life. Do other things. Learn new things. Participate in new things. It's not even about being uncomfortable so much as it is about continuing to live your life rather than staying stuck in something that doesn't even serve you for your highest good, your highest potential. Let it go. And if people want to go against your grain in terms of belief systems, it doesn't say anything about you. All it says is how stuck in the system that they are still. And you could say that's the difference between woke and NPC, but at the same time, it doesn't even matter. Even this belief system is just one more distraction away, keeping you away from your highest potential. Because even though some people may be NPC, it doesn't strip them of any right to be understood and loved and appreciated for who they are. People love to have an enemy, but people don't know how to view themselves as being big enough to see who the real enemy is. And so instead of fighting the big bad boss at the end of the game, people are stuck hunting rabbits. This is some people's life, their entire life, hunting rabbits because they don't know how to level up, evolve, be bigger than the situations that encompass them. And I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad because it's not easy. Nobody's going to claim that it's easy, but it's not easy. It's hard, and many people don't know what it takes to break free from these things. But at the end of the day, you have to be bigger. You have to view yourself as being bigger than the problems you're experiencing. This goes for everything in life, but we're talking about delusions here. You have to be bigger than the delusion, than the theory, than the conspiracy, than the idea, and just view it as just that. It's an idea, and it doesn't have to serve you any bigger purpose. Sometimes things are just there to hold you back. Sometimes things are just distractions. Who are you really? What is your authentic self? What if you had every constraint in your mind removed? Who would you really be? What would you really do? Get past all of the negative, get past all of the crime and laws and the constraints that make you feel like you shouldn't do something, and so it makes you want to do something. All of these negative, anti persuasive urges aside, what would you really want to do? Me personally, I want to experience a really good love with a woman. I want to ride dirt bike and four wheeler and a motorcycle, and I want to travel. I want to see aurora borealis, and I want to see a clear sky, a clear night sky. I want to make music that helps other people relax. I want to have abs. I've always wanted abs since I was a kid. I've been working on it. It's really hard. People will tell you to grow up, and then they participate in the mind games and expect you to play along. Because if you don't, suddenly their delusions break apart. Suddenly you become a misfit in their world. The outlier that says, that whispers in their ear very quietly, what if I'm wrong? What if everything I believe is bullshit? And it makes their entire world shake and crumble apart if you stay long enough and stay firm in your beliefs and your version of reality. When you stop feeding the demons, when you stop feeding into the theories and systems that you put so much energy into, they dry up, they shrivel, and they start cracking and crumbling. And given enough time, they'll just crumble away into nothing, into dust once again. the little pebbles that you knew, now it's just dust on the ground. Because it really doesn't matter that much. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. It doesn't fucking matter. Because nobody can tell you what to believe. Well, it's up to you to believe what you want to believe. I think this is why a lot of kids and adults were trying not to cry in my dream. Because they were forced to believe they couldn't cry. I really fucking hate the Christmas jingle that says, "You better not cry, you better not shout, you better not fucking whatever." I'm telling you why. You better not. I forget how it goes, but yeah, it encourages kids to be good. And I was this way. I was a good kid. The shitty part is the more good I was, the less I was appreciated and rewarded for it. I started accepting the breadcrumbs as good enough. And even worse, I tore myself down because I didn't think I was good enough for anything more, for anything better. If you think you're too sensitive, you're not. If you think you're too emotional, you're not. These things are what makes humans human, by the way, in case you haven't figured that part out yet. The people who aren't human are the ones who abandon themselves. The ones who abandon their emotions and their heart or their mind, their dreams, their tears, their laughter. The ones who abandoned the parts of themselves that feel deeply and live deeply. The ones who go every day living drained, empty, needy, constantly searching but never being fulfilled. Those are the people who've lost touch with their humanity. So if people ever try and gaslight you into believing that you're being too much, that you're too emotional, that you're too sensitive, that crying is weak, that feeling the world the way you do is wrong, you can tell those people to fuck off and go find their own happiness because it isn't with you. And the more you try and be authentic, the more you try and force the situation, the more you try and force yourself out there, some people are going to try and stop you. They're going to try and say, you're not allowed to do that. And it's silly, too. A lot of the times it's over the stupidest fucking thing you'll find. So just keep being yourself and stop buying into the delusions that keep you held back in life. They're just distractions holding you back. You're more than you think you are. You're bigger than you think you are. And you need to start believing that. You need to start imagining yourself as being bigger than this problem that you're facing, this delusion that's inside of you, this theory that you can't get past, the demons that you feed. Be bigger than them. Take back control of your life and do whatever the fuck you want. Because I assure you, whatever you're afraid to do isn't what you really want to do. In terms of being a bad person. So many people feel this way. They say, I don't know how to express anger. I feel like I might go to jail or whatever. You're trying too hard. There's nothing wrong with being angry. Doesn't mean you have to act on it. Doesn't mean you have to be violent. That's for you to decide. But the feeling is completely normal. Same with being happy, crying, all of these feelings. They are 100% valid. And that's something you need to understand. Is whatever you feel inside, even though acting on them may not be the wisest decision, the feelings that you feel are valid. And so you need to have impeccable discernment between your thoughts and feelings, because often they can get twisted up, confused, and when you let other people in on this madness, they can only make it worse. The chaos grows. People aren't really serving your highest good, and they'll tell you you need help, but nobody helps. Be bigger than the chaos that you've developed inside of your mind. A lot of people are afraid of their imagination and their egos and even their feelings. These are the things you need to appreciate most about your life. It's the people who gaslight you into believing the opposite are the ones you really need to avoid. The ones that made you feel like a bad person for expressing yourself in a normal way, just expressing feelings, are the ones keeping you held back, forcing you into this false reality that you've built around yourself. The wall, the delusions, the safe space. The best part is, it's inside of you. You never lost anything. I don't believe even the most broken of people have really lost themselves. They've only abandoned themselves. But you can always claim it back. You can claim your ego. You can claim your emotions. You can claim your desires, your urges, your imagination, your feelings. You can claim all of it back because it's always been yours to keep. And you need to keep you and stay with you and accept you, because that's what real love is. That's what unconditional love is. Accepting yourself for who you are, regardless of what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter if people think you're one way or the other about what you believe. It's none of their fucking business. Even people like Johnny Depp, who feel trapped in a system that forces them to get in a line and can't really be themselves. It's all in your head. And you need to accept that and accept the power that comes with it, because the power is in your hands. You decide what you want to believe. You decide what you don't want to believe. And if people disagree, it just means that they're part of the system you don't believe in. Nothing more, nothing less. People like to say we can disagree, but we can still be friends. You know what I find interesting that I've realized recently is when people like to pressure you into explaining yourself, when they ask why. But why? Tell me why. It's often with the desire to convert you over to whatever they believe in. Because once they know why, they can try and convince you otherwise. But you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to explain your ideas or your theories if you don't want to. You don't have to justify who you are. I feel like that's a big one too. Because a lot of people make up excuses to do the things that they really want to do for a good reason. But instead of owning the reason that they wanted to do it, because that's the truth, and if people knew the truth, then they could gaslight them into believing something else. They could gaslight them into believing that their truth is invalid. So they make up excuses to do the things that they want to do. Oh, why did you go out? Why were you out with those people today? Oh, it's just my friends. When that's just I'm just making a random example, but making up excuses to do the things that you really wanted to do. It's not the fact that you aren't being authentic, it's the fact that you can't own the fact that you were being authentic. Stop justifying your behavior. The moment you own who you are is the moment you take all of your power back, because it's who you're being, and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to justify your behavior to somebody else, especially if they're not within the same belief system as you. There's nothing wrong with that on both ways. People are going to believe whatever the fuck they want to believe. And sometimes it just means you're lonely because of it. And that's something people like to do, is they like to drag you down, especially if you're pulling away. A good way to view it is back to the planet analogy. You have somebody stuck on that planet. It feels like they'll never escape. And then here they see you floating away. Because that's what relativity does. Where you view yourself as a god, seeing all these little pebbles of conspiracy here and there that mean absolutely nothing to you. Those people are still stuck on that planet. There's people still on that planet viewing it as that they'll never escape. And what they see is somebody floating up into the sky. Whoop, there they fucking go. And misery likes company. So people may try to keep you down. They might try to pull you back into the belief system, because that's what's familiar and comfortable to that person. But it's all just bullshit. It's whatever you want to fucking believe in. There's plenty of things to believe in out there. There's plenty. There are options, and there's help available too. All you have to do is talk. All you have to do is say something in the frame of reference of being not okay with something. You decide what you approve of and disapprove of. Me personally, I disapprove of believing in wild conspiracy theories that only keep people distracted and crazy. It's bullshit. I just like to make music. I like to draw. I like to talk to women. I like having friends. I like eating good food. I like sleeping. I like watching anime and playing video games. I like wearing my ring. That's not on right now though. I like wearing glasses. I like looking through my glasses. I'm not like super blind, but it's, the details aren't there anymore, unfortunately, as a certain distance out. So wearing my glasses helps me see everything much better, much clearer. I like that. So I'm grateful for my glasses. Yeah, I like listening to music. I like making music. All of that is super basic. It doesn't take much belief. It doesn't take much mental gymnastics to make everything make sense. And that's probably the easiest way to target a conspiracy, is the more that you have to make it make sense, the more that you should just give up anyway. Because who are you trying to, impress by making yourself believe something that's not even that big of a deal? Like really, like who really cares if the earth is flat? Does it fucking matter? I don't think so. It's probably round. I'm a round earther. But it's just not that big of a fucking deal. It's really not. Who cares? Why should I care? Why should you care? It feels flat. It might as well be flat, but it's probably not. And so, big deal. Wow, the earth is round. Fucking shocker, you know? Big fucking deal. Doesn't matter. Just an example. But, yep. I guess it's about all I have to say. It's about all I wanted to say. I'm tired of people getting away with running from the delusions. You can't run from them. You can't run from the delusions and the conspiracies and all these other things that you've built up. What happens when you run? You go in circles on the fucking planet. That's all you're doing. You're tracing lines of latitude or longitude. That's it. That's all you accomplish by running from the conspiracies. The way that you get over them is that you see yourself as being bigger, much, much bigger than the conspiracy. Then even there's an episode of Rick and Morty where Rick and Morty are in a simulation made by aliens, and then they leave the simulation, and it's still a simulation. And I think there's another simulation on top of that too. And you have to be bigger than even that. Be bigger than the delusion that Rick and Morty was even telling the truth about it. Be bigger than the idea that anybody even spoke an ounce of truth to you. Because like I said in the beginning, if you just go outside and just be for a little while, what difference does it fucking make? What difference does it make to believe one way or the other? It doesn't matter. Just go out and live your life. And the best part about this is if you're somebody who believes in the universe or God or anything of that nature, you will likely be aware that God is there to support you. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. It doesn't matter if you have the wildest belief. All that matters is it's what you want, because it matters what makes you happy. That's what the universe wants. It wants you to be happy. One really difficult part about being alive is this dynamic that people fall prey to in a trap of running away from the things they don't want. When that's, again, not the solution. You can't run away. You have to find something better to run towards. You have to find the thing that you want, not the thing that you don't want. Stop looking at the negatives. Stop looking at the dissatisfaction. Stop looking at life as something that you don't want. And go after what you do want. It is that simple. It may not be easy. Nobody's going to claim it's easy. That's another excuse people love to tell themselves. It's not easy. It's not that easy. It's hard. But, it's really up to you. At the end of the day, you decide. Because life isn't easy. But you get to decide how you live it. That's where free will comes in, by the way. And and the best part is God supports it. All you have to do is believe that it's the right path. That it's the path that you want to go down. That it's the thing that you want to pursue. That it's what you want to do. Whatever makes you happy. Go after the thing that you want and stop avoiding the thing that you don't want. The best part about it is if you're busy going after the thing that you want, you're likely not dealing with the thing that you don't want to deal with because you're busy going after the thing that you want. And that's the part that a lot of people can't grasp. It's the part that people get stuck at. They hyperfixate on the delusions and the negativity and the past. They sort of refuse to see the reality of them being happy. They refuse to accept. They refuse to even try and imagine a reality where they're happy. It's that hard for some people. It's hard for me, where my dad raised me in a way. He taught me to always prepare for the worst and hope for the best. It sounds good on the surface, but in terms of the bigger picture, the reality is, why am I preparing for the worst? Why am I wasting my time preparing for the worst when I could be spending my time preparing for the best? And what I find is I was never prepared for the best. It's come in my life time and time again. I've had plenty of the best, and I was never prepared to handle it. Most recent situation is with Tana. She was the best. She treated me so good. So good. And I thought I was prepared, but all I could focus and fixate on was the worst. I wasn't prepared to handle the best. I am now. At least in my opinion, I am. I'm better prepared. And this goes for everybody, not just me. Stop wasting your time worrying about what could happen. You'll figure it out along the way anyways. Instead, spend your time not in a hopeless delusion of need or craving, but just thinking about what you want. Just think about what you want. You don't have to, and you probably shouldn't put all your eggs all in one basket, but just spend some time thinking about what you do want. And another great part about this is the more you spend your time doing that, the less time you spend worrying about the conspiracies and the delusions and all these other things that keep you distracted and held back from living a better life. Give up on running away and start running towards a better life. That's what you have to do, and that's another way to escape the delusion. It's a lot easier to escape a planet of bullshit when there's another planet of betterness that can also draw you into it. So instead of trying to find the escape velocity necessary to escape the entire gravitational pull of this planet of bullshit, you have a planet of betterness up here, so that once you have enough escape velocity, this planet starts pulling you towards it. And that's the way attraction works, by the way. Law of attraction, that's one of the biggest lessons you can learn. is when you have something that you want to go towards, the best part about it is the more that you head towards it, the more it attracts you towards it. And that's where a lot of people fall victim into conspiracy theories too. It starts out as a pebble, as this little thing. But the more you dig into it, the more you poke at it, the more you fucking feed into it, the more it pulls you in. It goes for everything. It's not just illusions. So you have this is the part where free will comes in. You have to accept the reality of the situation and the way that the universe works with the law of attraction and do something about it instead of just, you know, wallowing. See yourself as something bigger than the problem and go towards something that you would like to go towards instead. Give up the faulty beliefs, give up the delusions, and just fucking go for shit. Go for gold, go for the win, full send it. Go for the thing that you want to go for. And you'll find free will has been there for you the whole time. God, the universe, however you decide to perceive the supernatural force that is the thing that holds us all together. It all conspires for your greatest good. All you have to do is to decide what that is. It's a hard decision, especially if you can't decide. If you're like me, who just let the universe kind of take control. Not the universe, but the path I was on, the river I was flowing down. I went with the flow for a long time. I did. And it got me some interesting places, but that's not free will. Free will is the decision to be bigger than all of the tugs and pulls that you experience. Be bigger than your desires, than your urges, than your addictions, than your delusions, than your theories and conspiracies. Be bigger than the problems that you have. Be bigger. Be the cosmic God entity that you need in your mind, because that's way more important than you may think. Anyway, I guess that's all I really have to say. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And bye for now.